Welcome to Virtual Team Power, a webinar that will talk to you about how you can manage a virtual team from anywhere in the world and keep them coordinated. So, basically, how do you manage a virtual team on the internet and get everybody working together on the same goals, same approach, and how do you do everything in regards to that, basically? So, the 5 steps here today is number one, game plan. You need a clear game plan. Think of your team as a football team, and to win matches, you have to be coordinated. Everybody needs to know where the goal is, what the challenges are, and what the strategies are for you to actually overcome and score a goal. So, what's the game plan for your business? That's why probably next coaching call we will be talking more about your business blueprint. So the next coaching call will be about your business blueprint because your game plan is based on your business model, on your blueprint for what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. Team power. So basically, what does a team look like that is coordinated, that is able to follow through on the game plan? How does that look like? Alignment. How do you align your team so that everybody's focusing on the same objective? Step number four, some software that you can use to really leverage other people's time and incorporate that into your business. Routines are incredibly important when you work virtually because in effect you're not working in the same office, so it's not so easy for everybody to know what's going on. So it's important that everybody has routines for their daily for their week, so that they consistently follow through on a certain set of routines that has been predetermined, and then you meet up once or twice a week and you go through the deliverables that you have been that have been decided on. So if you think about football, I was thinking American football, but you can also think about soccer. Um, a team consists of different types of players. So you got strikers, you got defenders, you got a goalie, etc. And the important thing here is to understand what the capabilities of different types of people are. So some people have, the goalie um, playing as a striker, and then therefore not you're not getting the kind of results that you really want to see in your business. So step number one is really understanding who are your who are your people on the team. What are their capabilities? What can they do? What can't they do? Um, we can't do everything. We need to figure out what kind of people we need, and then we need to put them in the right positions that so that they can follow through and do what they do best. And the way to do that is really to take a piece of paper and use the rule of four. So basically, you take a piece of paper, you write down CEO, sales and marketing, production, admin, and operations on a sheet of paper. Okay, that's the first step because these are going to be your four key people. You might have one person doing, production and operations, and another one being the CEO and doing sales and marketing. So in the beginning, your team might not be like four people or 10 people. It might only be you and one more person. But still, it's important to decide who's going to do what. So, what kind of tasks will the CEO be doing, right? Well, the CEO decides on the direction of the company, and also what the other three people. It's like the captain of the team, right? So, what kind of tasks will the CEO be doing, right? So he decides when the weekly meeting is going to be, what the deliverables are going to be, um, etc. So he's like the boss. Okay. Sales and marketing. Okay, what sales and marketing activities are you committed to? Are that you're going to follow through on for the next week? Okay, so it could be um, post. It could be typically. I'll talk about what kind of sales and marketing activities we have for Mr. Outsource. Okay, so a couple of them are Prepare newsletter, right? So you get a newsletter out every single week, sometimes twice a week, and that newsletter is prepared partly by a member of my team, and then I go in and I add parts of it. So if you're wondering, do I do my own newsletter? Yes, in a large extent, I actually do because it needs my personal touch. But a lot of it is not done by me. So, for instance, the statistics part is not done by me. The funny graphic is not done by me. Um, Another activity is scheduling Facebook posts, because on a Facebook page you can actually go in and you can say post this on Monday 6 o'clock p.m. Right? So we schedule Facebook posts. Another activity is that we reach out to joint venture partners to do more webinars. Right? So we send out about 5 emails a day to different joint venture partners to do more webinars, basically, so we can help more entrepreneurs find people in the Philippines. So that's another activity. I just launched a podcast called Invincible Entrepreneur. So, and again, it's a repetitive task. So that our focus for the next episodes is actually sales and marketing. So another sales and marketing activity there is reaching out to authors on Amazon within the sales and marketing category and saying, "Hey, do you have time to jump on a 30-minute call with Erlen Bakke, the author of the international bestseller Never Work Again, where we'll be talking about sales and marketing strategies." Okay, so that's also one sales and marketing activity. Um, in terms of production, what we do is we follow up on, how is the recruitment going? Is their next boot camp in place? We basically do a boot camp every single month in the Philippines where we train people over there to be good VAs for you guys. So that's part of the production. You could say this webinar is also production, right? Um, so we go through all the different things that we do to produce content for Mr. Outsource. Administration operations is kind of looking at, what kind of funds do we have, what kind of numbers do we need to have going in, have we paid our taxes, have we paid our salaries, and there's people involved in all these areas. So uh, what's important here is that you start with a blank sheet of paper. You write down these 4 columns and you just write down the activities that you want to see in your business, and or that you already have in your business, so that you know and you're clear on what's going on. And the thing here is, like, it's not really writing it down once and then it's done. You have to write it down multiple times. Okay, so this week you write one down, and then next month you should do it again, because your activities might have changed. Sorry. You may have found out that, oh, this sales and marketing thing doesn't work, or this sales and marketing thing doesn't work. So another thing that you can do in sales and marketing is actually, you can have your VA post things in other people's groups, right? So if you're selling products related to dogs, you can go and join lots of dog groups, and you can. I don't suggest just posting salesy stuff straight away. What you need to do is build a relationship with the group first. So in the beginning, you need to post helpful stuff for other people. So if you read a helpful article, or find a funny dog video, you can post that in the group, and so you start off by adding value in the group on Facebook, and then you get your VA to maybe post some links to your site, and they shouldn't be sales; it should be conversationally based. So, um, what do you guys think about this product? Would love to hear what you think, right? And then you start a conversation about your company. Um, Okay, so the rule of four, very powerful, very simple way of figuring out what your key players, who your key players are, and then also what they should be doing as part of your game plan, right? And these should be related to what you want to do. in your company. And also, it's often it's often more simple to focus on less stuff. So basically, for social media, do you have to have a Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, and all these channels? Maybe you should only do Twitter and YouTube, or maybe you should only do Facebook and YouTube, um, depending on what you're selling, right? So and where your user group is, like where are the people that you want to sell to? And they're not everybody. It's not 1% of the population. It's like 1% of women in New York, kind of thing. That's being focused. So align up all your strategies in terms of um, what your niche is, who your target is, and all your game plan should be targeted towards those few people. So reporting is very a very important part here of the game plan, because um, you need to see measurable proof that tasks have been carried out, and they can be done very simply. It could be just in an Excel spreadsheet that is shared with you, daily. For instance, you can have your VA do data mining. Data mining is when you say, okay, we're really interested in uh, contacting all the photographers in New York, because I believe we can sell them image editing services. Um, so a task for a VA would be, please create an Excel spreadsheet of all the photography companies in New York, so that we can contact them in regards to selling this and this service. So this is a great task for a VA, by the way. So what they'll do is they'll go into Google and go like, photographers in New York City, and then they will follow your template, which is like name of company, name of person, telephone number, email, website, address, and then they'll make a list for you, um, or about, if you say 50 companies, 50 companies is great, and then just set a number for how many, and then get them going on it, get them putting in this information. And in my experience, you're okay if you have 50 people on the list. That's pretty good. So work through that, and if you use Google Docs, you can actually work on this document simultaneously. And I try to work on everything in the cloud, because having lots of different Excel spreadsheets bounce back and forth in emails makes it all very confusing. So try to keep everything in the cloud. Try to work on the same sheet of paper. In regards to reporting, the daily update is very important, which I went through with you in the webinar with Stephen. So I'm going to show you more about this later. So I'm going to move on to point number 2: power team. How to leverage other people in teams. Well, one thing is to create a team spirit. So how do you build a team online? Well, one thing that I do regularly is that I have everybody on the same call. So for instance, I'll have people from Mr. Outsource and my image editing company and my photography company in Norway, and I'll talk to them in a way where we're all a team. So I don't try to create silos necessarily. I don't try to waste people's time. But so, for instance, tomorrow I'm going to have a group meeting uh, with all my companies, because I'm going on a sales and marketing training course for about a week. So I'll be away for a week, and I won't be that available. Um, so basically, I will be talking about what is important that we do next week, and what kind of activities we need to be doing, and why we need to be doing them. So I regularly have a group meeting with everybody online, um, and I talk openly about our challenges and what we need to do, and what's working, which we should be doing more of as well. So try to schedule team group meetings online, and all you have to do that is have a Skype account. So send out an invitation through your calendar, so that everybody that's interested in the meeting gets it. Try to do that, as long in advance as you can, maybe like a week in advance, and set a time which works. Of course, here's one thing you need to think about, and that is like time zones. So basically, we work across 3 time zones. So when I'm in New York, the morning is the ideal time zone to have these meetings, because that's like midday in Norway, and it's like right after dinner time in the Philippines. So that's the ideal time to have the group meetings. And I just jump on Skype. I don't have a presentation mostly I don't have a presentation. I just write down points on a sheet of paper, and then I just simply go through, just talk it through, and people can ask any questions that they like or need or feel like they need to. One thing with working globally is, of course, the different cultures, and I think you need to instill culture in your team as well. So, for instance, showing up on time, letting people know if you can't show up as early as possible. Um, and I believe, in like deep down, we want the same kind of stuff. We have the same needs, the same desires, um, and we want the best for our families. We need to get enough sleep. We need to eat healthily. We need to spend time with friends. We have other stuff outside work that we're also interested in. So always try to talk about other things in a meeting as well, because you do need to build um, a common what do you say? Yeah, you need to try to talk. You need to have a relationship with your people based on other things than just business. So if they have a kid, ask them about their kid. Try to stay up to date on what's going on in their lives also, because ultimately that also affects how they do things in the business. Um, but deep down, I think culturally we're more or less the same. You do have to instill in some cultural values in your team as well. And I suggest one thing is like show up to meetings on time, and be prepared for the meeting. Because if you got like 8 people on a call, and we're all waiting for one person to do something, and he doesn't show up, or um, he hasn't completed the tasks, then it's not really, it doesn't give a good impression for the rest of the team, right? And then you also need to know how to deal with that, right? um, you do need to have a project manager in charge of different projects. So when you set a project, let's say you're doing a web design project, you do need to make sure that that person understands that they are in charge. They are in charge, and be very, very accurate about what you need to have done. I was thinking I should show you um, Invincible Entrepreneur, the website there. Uh, and also, I want to talk about how I made that happen. Entrepreneurs on Fire. Okay, so basically, this is how, because I know a lot of you guys on the call, you want to make websites, and you have websites that you need to and want to make. So here's a website called Entrepreneurs on Fire. Um, this is a podcast website, and he's done really, really well in the sort of podcast space. So here I'm just showing you the website and how it looks. Here, I like him on Facebook. Um, yeah, so this is how that website looks. So basically, I wanted to launch my very own podcast, because for my book Never Work Again, I was interviewing all these experts, and I really enjoyed speaking to them. So I was like, okay, well, if I really enjoy speaking to entrepreneurs and learning from them, then I can easily make a podcast, and that's what we did. So basically, this is the podcast that I said, oh, this guy's doing really, really well. So I went, okay, well then the website should look pretty much similar. So you see again, the logo's changed, got more or less the same tabs. Um, he has an opt-in box on the top. We have an opt-in box at the top. We have a video here, same as him. and it's pretty similar. And the reason why I'm showing you this is because of how easy it was for me to make that happen, and how easy it was for me to produce that, because I set a project manager a task, and he worked with a web designer, and I said, I need this live for the republishing of my book on the 5th of April. And I said, please make it like this. I need you to find the solutions on how you can put this live. I need you to find the solutions. I want to. I don't really need to get. I don't really need to see it before it's finished. Just make it as best you can. In regards to this website, you need to make sure that the interviews go live on iTunes. And since then, that was about 1 month ago, and since then we've had like 4 emails where we needed to look at things and make the changes. But that's pretty much how I built a podcasting website, right? I put somebody in charge. I let them know what they needed to do, when I needed it done, how it needed to look like, and also I gave them an existing business model to model, right? So that's how I launched Invincible Entrepreneur, the podcast. Um, and you guys can do exactly the same thing. So if you want to launch a type of company, then look at what people are doing, and then you can change and alter what they've already done to fit what you want to do. And in the end, with podcast, it's really about getting the podcasts out there. It's really about downloads, because in podcasting, the way you make money directly is through advertising. So basically, if you have 10,000 downloads a week, you can make about $1,000 to $2,000 on advertising per episode. So that's really how to do it with podcasting. It's really about reach. So sales and marketing is very important in terms of podcasting. And what you do is, when you interview somebody, and maybe they have a big list, you get them to email their list with the podcast. That's how you get more downloads. Um, what's really, really important is to measure employees, because if you don't measure, you can't manage them. And you do that one way, and the most simple way that I found to do that is through the daily update, where they have to report how many hours they worked, what tasks they did. Um, and you can also use different types of software where they have to log in, and they have to log into a software, and basically the software will track what they're doing, plus will also calculate the amount of time they've been working on a specific project. I actually don't use any software like that. I only work with people that I trust and like. So I actually don't measure what people are doing on their screens. But I do measure production. So for instance, I will check how many people they've added to a list. I will check if things are done. So I do measure things in terms of checking what has been done during a day. Um, and I get reports either daily or weekly or monthly. So it really depends on what part of the business and who's also doing the work. So um, figuring out things to measure is important. And I think, like, just like a commonality for you guys to measure is through the daily update. Check how many hours they worked, what did they do during those hours, and are you happy with the result? Um, so so that's one thing to bear in mind. So how do you align your team? Because it is important that, so imagine people working for companies like Virgin and Apple and all these really strong brands, where they create really great products, and they have the ability to make lots of money because their products are great. um, and obviously they've been in the race for a while. But I think it has a lot to do with employee alignment. Now, Steve Jobs isn't around anymore, but Apple is still producing great products. Now, why is that? Well, it's because everybody on the most people in the Apple company understand the mission, the vision, and the values of what Apple is all about, and it has a lot to do with internal branding. Internal branding is basically making sure that everybody on your team that is working virtually understands what you're about. So, and you, it's okay to repeat your mission, vision, and values for your team. So, for instance, if you're all about 360 photography, it's important that you consistently talk about how this is adding value to the world and how it adds value to the customers and why we're in this business. Why do we wake up and spend 8 to 10 hours of our lives working on 360 photography for clients? Why is it important? What kind of what does it matter if we deliver mediocre quality or high quality? Um, so mission, vision, and values is something that you, as the owner of the business, as the entrepreneur, you need to be very clear on. Um, in Mr. Outsource, it's all about helping entrepreneurs leverage other people's time, build systems so that you have more time to add more value in the spaces where you need to do it. So that's what Mr. Outsource is all about, is like helping entrepreneurs leverage other people's time so that they have more time to do other things, right? Because I don't believe entrepreneurs should learn how to do web design, etc., 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 unless that's what your company does. Um, so one simple way that I help my team get aligned is actually through an exercise called the three most important questions exercise. And I give this to people when they start working for me. And what they have to fill in is what kind of experiences do they want to see in their life? Yes, at work, but also in their life. Um, what kind of growth do they want to see in their life? How do they want to grow as a person? How do they want to contribute in the world? How do they want to contribute in the company? And I find that when people are answering these types of questions, it really helps me get a better idea of what kind of person I'm talking to here. What are their deep down desires? And I think you can tell when somebody's done something in an honest way or an unhonest way. Um, so one story from this was Regina, that you maybe have met now through email. And one of the things she really wanted to do in the growth department and the contribution department was she wanted to write a book. She wanted to write a book about outsourcing, about all the tools and techniques that she's learned and we've learned about. So I knew she wanted to write a book. So by because she filled out this questions and answer sheet, I knew what she wanted to do. And as we moved on with Mr. Outsource, I was like, okay, I think it's time to write a book. So what we did was that we wrote that book together, and it's now called Outsourcing Mastery. And you guys may have checked that out. It should have been okay. Aldwin says she's got some technical problems. How you just uh, okay, Aldwin, the webinar is being recorded, so it will be live in the membership website later today. So basically, because Regina filled in this form and I got it and I read it, I knew she wanted to write a book, and then we managed to cross off something on her list of things that she really wants to do in life. And now somebody Google search that people can see, oh, she's on Amazon, right? So that's just one thing. That's one example. Another example is another business partner of mine called Rimon. He really wanted to do training for underprivileged people in Davao City. So we launched something called 360 Learn, where we take in people from backgrounds that are unfortunate, and we train them in computer skills. So in the Philippines, they don't have the sort of welfare system that we have in Australia and Norway and other countries. So there we actually train people from unfortunate backgrounds how to do computer stuff, and that's something that is very, very important to him. So get your employees to fill this in, and you learn a lot more about them. And then when you have these powwow sessions and you work virtually with them, you can say, oh, I know you want to do this, I know you want to do this. And then when people get to work on the kind of stuff that they really want to work on, they produce better work for you. You all make more money, and you live happily ever after, or something like that. I also follow the principle of 3 strikes, you're out. So basically, let's say an employee doesn't send the daily update, that is 1 strike. The second day they don't send the daily update, I tell them, like, 3 strikes, you are out. It's important that you tell them. A lot of people try, a lot of managers try to kind of trick their employees so that they can fire them. I just tell them straight out, like, you have 3 strikes with me. Okay, I'll tell you when you get your first one, I'll tell you when you get your second one, and I'll tell you when you get your third one. So the scenario could be late for a meeting, okay, like an important meeting. I'll tell them, okay, I might tell them after the meeting. I might not tell them in the meeting, but I'll go, you have now 1 strike. 3 strikes, you're out, okay? So just make sure that, and I'm quite quick with the first one, because I want them to understand that if they're going to work for me, don't mess around. I expect them to meet up. I expect the best for them. And if people aren't willing to do that, you should get rid of them really, really fast anyway. You should be slow to hire, quick to fire, as the saying goes. And I do that through 3 strikes, you're out. So I start off quickly with 1 strike, and then the second one takes a little bit more effort, but you can kind of tell if people are trying or not. And then the third one, they're gone, no questions asked. And of course, you can give them feedback if you want to give them feedback. But yeah, 3 strikes, you're out. It takes a long time for people to improve. So if they're not really delivering well in the beginning, they're not really going to deliver well after a while either. It'll actually go down. It'll actually get worse, not better, oftentimes with some people. Okay, so some software to use in this global. This is not revolutionary or new, but I tend to find that a lot of people don't know how to use Skype in a really good way. So I thought I'd show you a couple of buttons that I use that I find really, really helpful when working with people. So let's see, is Regina on the call here? So basically, you should all be adding Regina on Skype. So we're giving high fives to each other here. Okay, so this is the basic chat box. You should be using that. It looks a little bit different on this is on a Mac, so it looks a bit different on a Mac. Now I'm going to call. Okay, so hey Regina, how are you doing?
Hi, sir. I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm just on this webinar here showing some tools. I'm not sure if they can hear you, but so I'm going to just keep on talking a lot. But basically, we're on a call now. Of course, it's free. This button here, the plus button, is important because here you can share screen. So basically, I can jump on here and I can choose. I have 2 screens. I can choose what screen I want to share. I can press start, and now my screen will be showing up on Regina's computer. So basically, if this was a demo, I could be talking about, oh, here's screen recorder. Press here to record. It'll be saved in your recording folder, blah, blah, blah. So I do a lot of training through Skype. If I also wanted to record this to be shared with more people, I could use something called ScreenFlow. So I could actually record a Skype chat, make a video out of it, so I wouldn't have to every time go through and train people at the same stuff, right? Okay, Aldwin says it's all okay now. Okay, so we're on Skype here. Nomiki says, thank you for that. That's very inspiring in regards to 3 most important questions. You're very welcome. And it's very possible to do things like that when you ask people what their goals are. If you don't ask, people are unlikely to tell you. Okay, but they're there. We all want to do stuff, and unless you ask people what they want to do, it's difficult to align that with what you want to do. But it is possible to do it that way. A couple of other things you can do here: send files. You can send files through Skype. You can send contacts. So that'll be Skype contacts. You can stop screen sharing, which I did now. You can add people to the conversation. You may have to have a premium account to do group video, but I think you can do group calls still. I'm not sure, but it's a premium membership on Skype is, I think, €6 a month. So it's also valuable. You can mute yourself. For instance, if you want two people to just talk and you want to blow your nose, you can mute yourself. And of course, there's video as well, so you can start video. Thank you, Regina.
No problem.
Okay. So basically, I do video quite a lot for when I talk to people. I like doing video with people so that I can see them. And I suggest when you guys are interviewing people for your team, you do video because you want to see how people are and react face to face with you. Now, Filipinos might be a little bit shy when it comes to that, but try video, okay? Show who you are, show where you are, and do the same for them so that you can actually get to know people on a different level. So doing lots of video is a great thing to do. You don't have to do it all the time. For instance, I don't have video on now. That is partly because I want to focus on this webinar instead of thinking about, am I looking good or whatever. So it's good to use video at some times, and it's good not to use video other times. For instance, on my coaching calls, I don't do video because I want to focus on what you're saying rather than how you look like. It just gives me less to think about and more to focus on what we really want to talk about. GoToWebinar. This is GoToWebinar. We have the panel is here. I can see that we have, for some reason I can't see my mouse here. I'm just going to press escape. I'm not going to cancel the webinar. Yes, so here I can see I'm showing my screen, I'm recording it, go to dashboard, 1 person left, 64% are attentive. That's basically the people that are attentive, they're actually looking at the GoToWebinar screen, and the 40% that are not, they are looking at something else. 16 questions, 11 attendees out of 100. I can have 101 people on the webinar. I can control my audio, so I can mute myself. I can put the webcam on here. Questions nicely. Okay. Sorry about that, Nomiki. You're probably back now since you may manage to send that question. You can do polls. So basically, I could ask one of the polls I could do for this webinar would be, and you pre-program the polls, so you can have like how many people are outsourcing. We can have a chat, so we can say I can chat with you guys. I can also choose who I want to chat with, so I could chat directly with one of you guys, or I could chat directly with an organizer. So if you're doing a joint venture webinar, you can also send a message directly to the organizers only. Don't need to go that much into GoToWebinar, but it's a tool that you can use for meetings as well. That's my point. It's a meeting tool, just like Skype. GoToWebinar is just different format. And of course, it has. If you're gonna have like hundreds of people on the call, you want to use GoToWebinar, not Skype. Okay. Basecamp is a software that I recommend you check out. It's very popular. They've got like 350,000 business clients worldwide, and Basecamp is best if you're doing it's best for project-based work. So, for instance, if you're doing a new website, you can put it into Basecamp. But I didn't do that for Invincible Entrepreneur. I just said, you're the project manager. I want this done for the 15th of April. You can give me feedback on it once a week. That's all I want to hear from you. Go off and do it, right? And by managing it in that way, I didn't have to look at the milestones and all the little tasks and all that stuff. It just got done, right? And I think that's where we want to be as entrepreneurs. Is like we have these ideas and visions, and we want to get them implemented, and we go, okay, you're in charge of getting that implemented. Please get it done. And then they use Basecamp. Your project manager should use Basecamp to manage the workflow, but you shouldn't necessarily use it. But in the beginning, you might want to use it while you're building up your team. Obviously, I've been in the outsourcing business for a long time, so I have a group of people that I work with regularly that I know they're capable of doing something like that. In the beginning, you might want to check out Basecamp. It depends on what you're doing, how big your project is. So, for instance, some of the web design companies that we use, they use Basecamp, but I actually don't get that much involved in it. So what's important, though, when using software, when communicating, is that people are either visual, auditory, or kinesthetic. So we're predominantly one of these, but try to use as many of the tools online as you can. So, for instance, with Skype, use screen sharing, use screen capture, upload stuff to YouTube, send it to the entire team. Make sure you have a good internet connection. All these things is important in terms of collaborating online. In terms of the power of video, I can. Do you guys want to see how easy it is to make a screen flow? Okay, so I'm going to show you really, really fast. So basically, there's this software called ScreenFlow. Here you can see it right here. That's a recording that I've done before, so I'm just not gonna save that. So basically, I'm just gonna press record here. So I basically open up the software. I'll press record, and it'll start counting me down. So I have some time to, for instance, put this. If I want to put something full screen or whatever. So now it's actually recording. So this is PowerPoint Webinar 7 Virtual Team Power. I can press play up here, and now I'm recording everything that I'm saying. I'm not sure why this motorbike is up there, and now I'm going to press stop. Okay, so that's basically me recording everything that I now did on the screen, and it opens up this this panel here. Again, ScreenFlow for Mac, Camtasia for PC users, and now it's just playing everything, and you can see my mouse here on the screen moving back and forth. Yeah, so basically you can see I recorded everything, and it's actually really simple to alter the time. So basically now I'm making it shorter, and you can increase the volume. You can do lots of stuff. Another thing that I use quite often is that you can actually crop your screen as well. So if you don't want lots of black stuff on the sides, you can crop, and then all you have to do is apply, and then now the video is that size, right? Cool. So that's ScreenFlow is something that I use quite often. We're making one now, actually. We're making some new tutorials now because we've got Invincible Entrepreneur, the podcast, and I don't know how to upload the podcasts and sort of do the whole process there. So we're making lots of screen capture of how to do that. Who, what, why, and how. Yeah, this is not related. Okay, so use screen capture to create your processes. So, for instance, and I would say it's important to use ScreenFlow if something's a little bit technical. You record it and then you upload it to YouTube, and you share the link. So basically, if you find it difficult to know what you're going to say, you can just write it down on a piece of paper, okay? Just like sketch it out, draw it out. It depends whether you're visual, auditory, or kinesthetic, right? So it depends on how you prefer to communicate what you need to get done. So I usually take a piece of paper, I take a pen, and I'll write things out by drawing. Or you can just write step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. But I use recording a lot because I find it very effective. and it's a much more effective way to do than writing. Just do the process, record it, upload it to YouTube as unlisted, and then once it's uploaded, you just send your link to the person that needs to do the task, and then you check that they've done the task correctly. And by doing this, by making this one routine in your company, you've actually created a routine, one routine out of many. You've created one of the routines for people in sales and marketing, production, admin, or operations. So keep on thinking about routine tasks that you need other people to do, and then record them, give them to somebody else, and then test and check if they have done what you want them to do. Okay, so I'm going to end this webinar here with the we're going to do some Q&A, but the last point here is just I want to make sure that you're all familiar with and that you're all using the daily update. And the way it works is that at the end of the day, when you have a new employee that starts working for you, what you say, okay, every day you need to send me this daily update. If you do not send me the daily update, I will know that you haven't done it, and I will give you one strike. Okay, one strike means 3 strikes, you're out. So if you don't send me a daily update, I will fire you if you fail to do it 3 times. So it's very important to me. So basically, you put the title, which is the date, and the hours worked. So today's the 29th of April 2014. I worked for 8 hours. Number 1, what I did today. So basically, the tasks that were completed, etc., etc., etc. So if it's a web project, you might have links to the pages that have been changed. Challenges I encountered, that means things that they're struggling with, but they're figuring it out, right? They're figuring out what the challenge is. So you actually only have to read number 3, right? If you have a very busy day, then you just read question number 3, because it's questions I have for you. That means they're really stuck and they can't really move forwards without you giving them feedback. That could be, oh, I don't have access to this account. I can't log in here, or something that you have to reply to. So typically, I look at number 3 first, and then I start replying to that. And okay, somebody's put their hand up. That's also a webinar tool that you can put your hand up. Okay, so that was the webinar on virtual team power. I am going to end the recording, but we can do Q&A for another 4 minutes.